What's up, what's up, what's up, you beautiful and sexy you? You are tuned in to Get What You Want with host Jessica Brothers. Sharing these secrets to feeling powerful, healthy, and ageless so you can stop that cycle you're in and break free to live the incredible quality of life you deserve. Welcome to the Get What You Want podcast. This episode is sponsored by freehealthybook.com. If you would like to know why you feel tired, unmotivated, and can't lose that last weight, and how to start feeling powerful, healthy, and ageless, then go to freehealthybook.com. What's up, everyone? This is Jessica Brothers, host of the What You Want podcast. We have one amazing guest today. Her name is Debra and Cruz. And today, we're going to talk about sex, confidence, and trauma. So listen in, you don't want to miss this. Today, I have Debra Cruz. Debra, I met Debra at a power lunch, and she is a hot ticket, man. Oh my gosh. I am so excited that you're here with us today, Debra, to share everything you do, which is really unique. Debra is very interesting, and she is a hoot, man. Like I love talking with her. So here we are today to share a little bit. Debra, welcome to the What You Want podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And it was such a pleasure to meet you at Rainmaker.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to share everything I do with your audience that will be a benefit to them and to help them stay healthy, happy, and survive and thrive in this crazy world.
It is a crazy world, isn't it? So Debra, let's dive right in. What is it you do? What is your specialty? Just right off the bat.
I am a licensed mental health therapist. I'm an executive coach. I'm a certified certified employee assistance professional. And I'm also a sex therapist.
Yes. I think that's the coolest thing. That's what I really want to talk about. Because I know many people, especially women, they struggle with low libido. Yes. I mean, I hear it all the time. They don't want to have sex. Yeah. And let's be honest, sex feels good. Why don't we want more of it, right? What is the issue there?
Yeah, hormones, stress, particularly what age that particular woman is. And they don't really tell you this, but when a woman gets into the perimenopause stage and the menopause stage, you lose your libido. I lost mine. And but I had a different opinion about it because I loved it. I love not having the pressure of sex. And but my doctor, I had a traumatic brain injury from an accident like 20 years ago. Wow. And my functional medicine doctor put me on hormone replacement therapy. And, it just kind of woke everything up. And can I curse on this show?
Of course you can.
But I told her, I said, you didn't tell me that libido shit was going to come back. And she said, Debra, you're crazy. And she said, it does different things than that. It does, helps with your brain synapses and all that stuff. And she said, well, you don't have to do anything about it. I said, yes, I do. So it was like, it was just that pressure. But by having that brain injury there, and a lot of my memory was gone. Mm-hmm. But with the hormone treatment, if you get the right hormone treatment, and I had to do bioidentical hormones because I have a heart condition. So she checked everything. She checked the genetic component of my blood chemistry and everything, and gave me the right combination of identical hormones. So it's a cream I put on. And like I say, it just woke everything up, but I'm 67. And with my age now, it reminded me, it was like all these things was popping in my brain. And it was like I was remembering back to when I was your age and how I felt about myself and being a woman, being a burgeoning, growing woman, trying to make it in the world, in corporate America, and being a woman of color. And, choosing not to be married, not to have kids, because I wanted my career. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do me.
Yes.
And, I wanted to stick to that plan. I don't knock anybody else who wants to do it, but I just, I saw my family, my sisters go through bad relationships and my mom. And I just said, I don't want that life, so I tell anybody, make your own decision of who you want to be and how you want to live your life, because we only have one life.
Yes.
One life, And can I back up a bit?
Yes,
I was a pedestrian hit by a car in 1998. I was working at American Bankers Association as a meeting planner. And, my life was in Washington, D.C., had a nice apartment, had my first Mercedes, and got hit by a car. One of my neighbors hit me when I was walking across the street. And, it was like when I was tossed off of the hood of her car, and I realized I was on the ground, and it was like I heard people talking, and I said, I did a scan. I was like, oh, no bones are broken. And I could hear people talking, but it was like this voice came to me, and it said to me, are you going to listen to me now? And I knew exactly what that voice meant, because I've been getting messages since the 8th grade that I should be a therapist, a leader, or coach, or something like that, but I didn't believe in myself. Because I'm a survivor, childhood sexual abuse, and bullying, sibling bullying, and, school and all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't know how to believe in myself. But when I got hit by that car, it was like, okay, I get it. I get it. And I immediately enrolled in grad school, when I was able to. I had to have 4 back surgeries. And then I had 2 heart attacks. So that whole process took 15 years out of my life. But I had to think fast. I said, who's going to take care of me?
Yes.
I'm not married. I don't have family. Who's going to take care of me? So I figured, okay, I made this arrangement with God. And it was like when I got hit by that car, and I realized that it's almost like when you have trauma, any trauma that you go through, it's almost like a decision you have to make, whether or not you're going to accept the challenge. I figured it's a challenge from the universe. Are you going to accept the challenge of whatever comes along? And I did that. I said, okay, God, I said, I'll go with it. Wherever you're leading me, I don't know where, but, I'll go with it. And it took 15 years out of my life, but my health started to improve at a certain point. And then it was like, okay, what do I do now? So I had to get a job, went to work for the government. But it was like all through that process, I had to keep learning how to listen to myself, how to hear that voice, and how to connect to a higher voice. Because if you listen to anybody else, pay attention to anybody else's opinion, you're going to get their stuff in their shit.
Yes, yes.
All of it, all of their stuff. And, you're going to have people that will try to tell you, oh, I know what you should do. I know how but it's not. It's not. But if you learn how to listen to that silent voice within your heart, I think that would be the thing that guides you to your happiness, and the rewards are great, because I'm living my best life now.
I love that.
67. I know I don't look like it, but that was the plan.
You don't look 67. You look much younger, Debra. You really do.
Well, that's what I'm telling. When I was your age, I planned what I wanted to look like. So I'm telling any of your audience, if you're in your younger years, 20s, 30s, plan ahead. Just envision, dream of how you want to look, when you get 60, 70, and what you want your life to be like. I know I like nice things. I like to fly first class. And, I just wanted to have, always prayed that God would lead me into that type of lifestyle where I could always support myself and not have to depend on a man, to do that, because that's the prescription. And I guess the worldwide prescription, a woman is supposed to have a man to take care of her and abide by his rules, and they don't know what to do with us now.
Oh my God. You know what? I see a huge shift in the world right now, momentum about women really rising up, being more powerful, earning more money. I mean, just in the gym alone, I see women working harder than the men. And I know the men are looking at that. I know the men are like, holy shit, look at this woman. She's pushing it. Like we're not just there anymore looking pretty. We're
Right.
showing them up. That's really, really powerful. You know, I too came from sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and trauma, all kinds of abuse, not just sexual abuse, and sibling, abuse too.
Mhm.
I always thought that I was the only one who had that inner voice. Like I always had that inner voice too, but I was never confident enough in who I was to actually listen to it. I thought, oh, I must be crazy, but no,
Right.
I feel special. I feel special, but I was told, no, you're not. And that goes back to what you were saying, Deborah, about if you let other people make your choices, if you listen to other people, you're not going to be happy because they want you to make choices that make them happy, which is usually not in your best interest. But, I love the fact that you brought up, we're talking about sex and libido, and you brought up the bioidentical hormones, because that's something that my team and I do. We help, we get that blueprint of the inside of your body. So we know what is going on and how to best support your body. And one of the things we do is those bioidentical hormones. They're huge. So I love that you brought that up, because as much as you didn't want that libido back, you got it back, right?
I got it back with a vengeance.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anyone who really wants that back, especially for women, A, that's a bonus right there. But B, what other changes when you got those bioidentical hormones? What other changes did you experience?
Well, my brain chemistry, my brain functioning, and being able, because I'd had an outline for a book for 15 years, and I couldn't get past the first chapter. But when the hormones started working, I finished the book, and it's published now. And but I tell you what, the medical profession, they go by synthetic hormones, and that that's what caused my heart attack.
Yeah.
When I was 48, and my GYN put me on I think it was, I don't know, it was Primer or something, but it caused the heart attack. It was a 3-month trial. And I was walking to her office to get the 3-month checkup, and I started feeling this pressure in my chest. And I stopped and, caught my breath, and I've been exercising and everything. And I said, this is strange. And I walked to her office and I told her about these symptoms, and she dismissed them because it was Thanksgiving time and she was talking about her turkey and her relatives that were coming. So I dismissed it. And I walked back home, and she renewed the prescription. I walked back home, but that pressure came back again. And I had a class, I was in social work school, I had a class that evening, and it didn't go away. And I just had to pray. And I was like, okay, whatever's happening, Lord, just give me strength to get some help. And it was like my mind went into automatic pilot, and I was able to call 911, and they took me to the EMT, and they said, you had a heart attack. And I said, what? And when I called the doctor from the hospital, and I said, they said I had a heart attack. I felt bad. I said, I didn't get the prescription filled. She said, oh, no, don't take it. Don't take it. When I did my research on that medication, there was a study with it was a huge study, and they stopped the study because it was causing heart attacks in women.
Wow.
And then I learned, even the nurses at the hospital, they said she should have known better than to give you that particular one, because it was like one estrogen or progesterone, whatever the combination, it was wrong for my chemistry, my body. Yeah. So that just set everything in motion about that. And it set me back. That was in 2006. Yeah. And but I couldn't figure out, I said, okay, I had these back surgeries. Then I had this heart stuff. I said, how do you rank that trauma? There was no way to rank it. There was no way to rank it, because I figured out the common denominator was me and how I wanted to choose to feel about any of that. I made the decision to set strong limits and boundaries at that time. I didn't want my family to come around me when I was in the hospital. I just wanted to be me, God, and the angels and ancestors. That's all I wanted. I wanted to have that straight guidance to that higher power, because my family was never there for me anyway. So why be there now?
Yes.
But that really helped me. Even people from church, I told them, I said, no, don't come see me. No. That really helped because it helped me to tune into myself. It
Mhm.
helped me to tune in to figure out what I wanted to do and to learn to control my mind, because I had the heart attack. I couldn't feel bad. When I felt bad or had bad thoughts, I felt the pressure again.
I love
And
that.
then when I realized, when I changed my thoughts, then that pressure lightened up. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take years for people to learn how to change their thoughts. It
Mhm.
doesn't take that at all. I've also learned with my clients who are also survivors, some of them don't believe me, but I believe that any trauma we suffer, particularly childhood trauma, means that we're special. We are chosen. We are chosen by a higher power, because if you can get through that trauma as a child and get to where you are at a point where you can help other people as you are, Miss Jessica,
Yes.
you're chosen.
Yes.
You're chosen, and that's very, very special, very special.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much power here. Honestly, Debra, the fact that you wanted to be alone in the hospital after your heart attack, you didn't want others around because you want time with yourself. So you could
Yes.
be you and you could figure out what it is you wanted deep down inside for those positive thoughts. And you're right. It just takes awareness of yourself and your thoughts to simply shift them and change them. And so many people are afraid to be by themselves because then they're forced to go inside with their thoughts and their choices and who they are. And that's scary to a lot of people, but it's scary because that is our power. That is our power. And we're giving it away if we choose not to do that. And I love that you chose in a time of what most people would think is a weakness or a time where you need others to be around. For me, I would have chose the same thing, Debra. Everyone leave me the hell alone.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm in this position right now because I listened to too many other people and not my inner voice to bring me to where I am today. How do I make my life happier? What is it that I want, right? Yes. And and using that trauma, that adversity as a power too. It is our power. It is a lesson. Move forward.
It also taught me about my certain psychic skills and spiritual skills that I was always afraid, because I would get premonitions and visions and things like that. But when I would tell my sisters, they were, oh, you're crazy. And I kept it all to myself. But I learned to put that power into practice. So now with my clients, I can actually see where they're supposed to be.
I love
and
that.
I can tell them, and I can help them through whatever point they're at now, and help them to listen to themselves. I'm one of my coaching certificates is in self-esteem recovery. And there was Dr. Marilyn Sorensen in Portland, Oregon, who defines low self-esteem as a thinking disorder. And that spoke to me. And I called the number on the internet, and she answered the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman answered the phone. So I studied with her for 16 weeks and got certified in her technique, because I said, you're the only one who didn't want to label me as some clinically depressed person. I wanted to understand why I feel that way. What's causing those thoughts? So that's what I've learned to help my clients with. I help them to do a deep dive and figuring out where those voices are coming from, because there's always this trail of thought in the back of our heads that are telling you you're not worth anything. You don't deserve that. Because I had my siblings tell me that when I saved enough money to buy my first little Mercedes, and I took it home to let my older sister drive it, and she told me we're at a stoplight, and she said, you don't deserve this.
Oh, wow.
She said, this should belong to me, and it should be parked in front of one of those big brick houses over there. I didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know, because I never talked back to her. And I just said, well, you can get one too. You can work and get one too. But, being in that hospital bed, and it just made me realize how people who are closest to you will hurt you the most.
Oh my gosh. So true.
They hurt you. And then, that also went back to me believing in that higher power, and realizing that our families are just our parents, just the avenue how we got here on earth. That helped me so much, because if I thought about the other way of family, this, family, that, I would be hurt all the time.
Oh my
And
God.
I didn't want to be hurt. So I learned to do that. Even my clients now, when they come and they say something about their parents, and the college professor who's she's in her 50s. And when I first met with her, she was talking about stress. But when I said, tell me about growing up. And she said her father was a drug addict. And she said she remembered waiting there for him to come and pick her up when she was 6 years old. And I saw that 6-year-old little girl sitting in front of me. And I asked her, I said, do you feel like a grown-up? And she said, no, I don't. And, we had to go through that process of me telling her about, you have your own individual life. Your father was a boy at one time, whatever made him go on to drugs or something like that. I said, you had no control over that, but there's a higher power that loved you, and look where you are now. You're a tenured professor, you're helping other young people. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on that part of you and your being. I said, because you're brilliant. You're brilliant, and you're where you are because of the trauma you had to go through, but you made it through it.
Yeah.
You made it through it.
That gives you strength, right? It gives you strength and power to help others who have also gone through it, to relate to you, so you too can help them grow out of it or endure through it and come out the other side smiling. And I know a lot of people listening to this right now, because I get this a lot, because you and I have very similar stories when it comes to family and the power that we used to give to them over us. I had some very similar situations with my first Mercedes too.
Oh, nice, sweet, yes, girl.
And people ask me, well, Jessica, I can't just, hate my family. And I say, I'm not asking you to hate your family. I'm asking you to choose you first and to love certain people from a distance.
Absolutely.
Love them from a distance. Love leads everything. There is no hate. There really is no hate. That comes back to thoughts, right? Absolutely. You want everything to be high frequency, high value, just like your food. You want it to be high value for your body. Your thoughts have to be high value food for your brain. Yes.
Because if you believe that other stuff, you'll never know how smart you are. You'll never know how intelligent you are. When I got to grad school, I ended grad school with a 3.8 GPS out of 4.0. And I'm like, I really get this stuff. I really am smart, and I thought about I could have done it years before, but it wasn't my time. It was like I had to keep going through those traumas and feeling bad about myself. But, when I got it, when I finally got it and got on the track where I'm supposed to be, because I knew now, I learned to know what happiness felt like. And to be in control of my life and to know that, nobody can take away what I've created because it's mine. When I got hit by that car and I had, they say, tell your family. And I told my family and they were like, oh, how's the car? And is there much damage? I said, my body got hit, not the car. The car is fine. It was me. I'm like, they said, oh. I said, okay. Yeah, okay. So it was, now you see why I didn't want any of them around me in the hospital. That's like, okay, focus in. It's focus in. And when they close that door, when you're in the hospital, they close the door, they send your family away anyway. It's only you and God anyway.
Yes.
So it's like it was more time for me to focus on, to listen to myself and to know what myself sounded like, what I wanted,
For sure.
And the sex therapy part.
Yes. Let's talk about sex, baby.
I'll tell you, when COVID hit, I got so many calls. I loved the pandemic because I was able to write. I had, didn't have to go out of the house, go to the office, but I focused on just my projects. And I kept getting calls from my clients that were saying, my husband's here and he won't have sex with me, or my boyfriend's here and he won't have sex with me. And what can I do? And I'm like, well, he's sitting right there, and then they was, well, I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, write him a fantasy. They said, what do you mean write him a fantasy? And I said, write him a fantasy, write a personalized erotic fantasy. I said, what do you know about him? And I had Case in point, everybody's meeting online too these days, and you never really know anybody that you're meeting online. But I had one client who she was 30 something, he was 39, his first baby, they got pregnant. Met online, got pregnant, and they lived together. They didn't get married, but they lived together, try to form a family. And I had a couple session with him, so I got to see who he was. And he was working 3 jobs trying to support the family because the baby was 2 or 3 months old, but the baby had special needs. It was on an oxygen mask. And she called me 3 weeks later and she said, I'm kicking him out. And I said, what happened? And she said, I'm a woman, I have needs, and he hasn't had sex with me in 2 weeks, and I don't know what to do. I think he's fooling around with somebody. I said, what? And I said, and you think that? I said, he's working 3 jobs. And I said, well, okay. I said, I hear what you're saying. I said, but what are you doing? What are you doing when to spice things up? And she said, well, I'm here with the baby all day long. I said, yeah, I get that. And I said, have you thought about writing him a fantasy? And she said, I don't know how to do that. So I gave her some pointers. I said, okay, calm down, hear me out. I gave her some pointers on a little story, of what to write for him. When you first met, just think of a scene and just kind of put some things together, make it short. And I said, if you want to spice it up, I said, record it and send it to him and a message. And I said, if you want to have dinner for him, make dinner for him. I said, when he comes home, don't yell at him. Because now, with this power that women have, we have taken on a lot of masculine energy.
Yes, we have.
We scare the hell out of these boys because they don't know what to do. And I'm only saying that because I would not have known how they feel had I not been a therapist and they're telling me, so I'm getting it from the horse's mouth, how they really feel. And so I told him, I said, if you want to have dinner for him, I said, just see how things go. And she did that. And she called me, she texted me the next day. And she said, Doc, that worked. And she said, he was still talking about those fantasies at his job the next day. I said, I told you. Wow. I said, men are so simple. Men are so simple. And I said, you get into their heads. It's like that intellectual property because they think about sex every 2 minutes, every 2 seconds, not every 2 minutes, every 2 seconds. And look, I know that's true because the hormones, when they were trying to regulate my hormones, it was 2 doctors. The first doctor didn't do a good job and he gave me too much testosterone. I think it was androgel, this cream. I was thinking about sex every second and it was like crazy. And it was like, I wanted to call the pizza boy and jump on the pizza boy. And it's like, even the little fat deacon in church looked good to me. And I'm like, oh,
Deborah's ordering a lot of pizza lately.
It was like, God, I said, this must be what men feel like. This is what they feel like. And when I started asking them, I told them, I was straight up with them and told them about this experience I was having. They said, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And they said, please tell women that's how it is, that we don't mean to be, jumping on them and scaring them all the time or just saying we want sex all the time. But when I went to my gynecologist and I told her the milligrams of this stuff this guy gave me, and she said, honey, that's too strong for you. And she said, aren't you celibate? And I said, yeah, quasi. She said, no, but when she lowered the dosage, it was fine, my thoughts. So that really taught me what men go through. But it's like how they don't even know how to manage their own feelings and their own sexual needs. That's why when we do a fantasy for them and get into their head, it changes the dynamic. It changes the total dynamic of how they feel about us and about their own needs, because that being on that intellectual, having those thoughts and just a story, having the story of this erotic fantasy that their partner, wife, girlfriend, whoever wrote to them. And if they're really into her, they'll begin to see her in a different light. They'll begin to see her in a total different light,
I love that, Deborah. I absolutely love that. When I first met you, this is the conversation we had, was about writing a fantasy. And of course, my first thought is, I have no clue. Like, I guess I kind of have a clue, but am I doing it right?
There's no wrong way.
Got it.
There is no wrong way. So I created a PowerPoint, and I wrote a book. Well, it happened to me with a guy I met online.
Mhm.
And when we met right after COVID hit, so we couldn't meet. He was in Boston, and I was in DC, so we couldn't connect. But he was younger than me. I always liked younger men. He liked older women, which was fine.
That works.
But to keep the momentum going, and with the brain treatments from the hormones, I could see a scene of what I wanted to do when I was with him, and I would just write it out, right, and send it to him. And then he started to have me to record them for him, because he said, I love your voice. And I never listened to my voice, and it taught me how we as women don't really listen to ourselves. We don't look at ourselves, our bodies, and just love our bodies. Because there were things about me I didn't like. I had scars, from my surgeries. And he would just say, I think you're beautiful. I think everything about you is beautiful. And I had to learn to accept that, and just look and say, yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah. I get that. But these fantasies, he told me, got into his head. And this guy was the ultimate pretty boy. And he told me those fantasies got into his head. And he told me, he said, you're different. I said, what do you mean I'm different? And he said, you're special. You need extra. Because I knew he was like a pretty boy and ran game, on older women particularly, because he said a few things trying to get me to buy this or that. And I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't happening. But the little thing like, oh, my laptop, my MacBook is problematic. I need a new one. I'm like, yeah, I need one too. I said, which one are you going to get? Yeah.
Put him in his place.
Yeah. But those fantasies, really got into his head. So I was sending him one or two a week. And it became fun for me, because in between clients, I'd send off a fantasy, and then he ghosted me. He ghosted me, and I didn't know what that was about. One of my millennial clients said, oh, we do that to each other all the time. I said, what do you mean? He said, oh, we get mad and we'll block each other. And then it's like, I got a spiritual download that said it's his stuff. He's going through something. And then that was fine. I said, okay, it's his stuff. I'll leave him alone. So I gave him his space. 3 months went by. By the time he contacted me, I had trademarked the fantasies. I copywrote them, and I wrote a book. And he and I talked about this, because I said, I think we're twin flame lovers, soulmates. You know what twin flame is?
Oh yeah, you explained that to me. Yes.
Twin flame is one soul that split eons ago, and you come back together in two different people. And that's why when you meet someone, you have this familiarity. Say, I know you from somewhere. I just something you get me, that kind of thing. And he said that too. But and I said, we're supposed to be together to produce content and help other people heal. But I learned he got in his feelings. Men can't handle their feelings, especially love. When we show love to them, we show care, kindness, consideration, and that we got their back. They don't know what to do with that. Yeah. Especially if they've never experienced that, and especially if they're used to running game on women and being in control of that. And he couldn't handle it. When he came back, I told him, I said, I'm selling. I said, I made a business out of this. He said, you're selling our personal stories. I said, I didn't know you were coming back. I said, a girl had to do what a girl had to do. And I said, I told you, I said, I had the spiritual message that we were supposed to do content together. You took off. I stuck to the plan. I said, so whatever riches are going to come from that, they belong to me. They belong to me. Yeah. So.
Wow. Well, everyone, you heard it here. Write a fantasy. That is a way, I think women want to know all the time, how do I get inside my man's head? How do I have him look at me different? Or how do I rekindle things or respark things? And write him a fantasy, get inside his head. You heard it, everyone, right from Debra. I absolutely love this. Debra, let me ask you, anyone who wants to get into contact with you to get you for your services, what is the best way to contact you?
Everything, my website's being restructured now, but you can reach me at Debra@DebraAndCruz.com.
All right, Debra at
R-A,
DebraAndCruz.com. Ann has no E. It's DebraAnn Cruz, Cruz.com. Awesome, Debra. I'm so glad you joined us today. What a fun conversation. So much value to our audience. I really enjoyed you being here. Thank you for being here. And we're going to have you on here again so we can continue talking about sex, trauma, and confidence.
Absolutely. And fun.
And fun. I love that. I love that.
Definitely fun.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you being here. Rock your day, own your day, love yourself even more today. Until next time, adios.